Good evening, everybody. We've got some of that cirrus streaming overhead, and this is up at about 25,000 feet, coming almost directly out of the southwest. Now, one way we can look at the cirrus is on the satellite imagery. And there it is. There's a look at the conditions, and Texas located right there. So we're getting a little bit of that subtropical cirrus down to the south. It is overcast places like Houston and Corpus Christi, and even around the San Antonio area. Looks like we got a little bit of mid-cloud right there around Mexico, but pretty quiet for the rest of the U.S. right there. Looks like our water vapor sectors from the GOES east bird has come back, and there it is right there. And this shows you that the deeper mid and upper level moisture is just south of DFW and through the Texas Hill Country right there, and some very dry air around Midland and San Angelo. So this is that transverse circulation there. There's a sinking motion back in here, and then we have rising motion on that side of the jet right there. So there's probably a jet max, most likely a subtropical jet in that area right there. Upper level low right there in Baja California. We've got a new system coming onshore in California and Nevada. And then out east, looks pretty quiet out in that area. Not much going on, but they are catching a little bit of that subtropical moisture. The picture this evening is looking like this right here. We've got low pressure in the Canadian prairies. There's that plateau high there from Utah up to Washington. And this is an old migratory low over Texas. So it's going to be another cold night in that area. And then we've got an outgoing system there in New England, and other than that, every place else is between systems. So the Midwest right here, they're catching the westerly flow north of this high and south of these lows right there. The frontal setup is shown here on the potential temperature chart. Looks like the strongest gradients are offshore. So fronts well down to the south, maybe a new frontal system coming south. Actually, that would be a warm front right there. So we're going to look for that on the charts, and haven't seen a whole lot of change out west. So I'm not too sure we have a front out there. We'll take a closer look at the surface chart. Let me zoom this in. So we know that there's probably a warm front in the Dakotas. We'll see if we can find that. These temperatures are in Celsius. So yeah, there's 7 Celsius there at Pierre. That's going to be about 45 Fahrenheit. It's also about 41 to 42 out in this area here. Some very warm conditions. But up to the north, very cold. In fact, we got 19 below. Up there in the northeast part of Minnesota, that's going to be, boy, that's way down there. That's going to be below 0 Fahrenheit. Very cold air up in Ontario there. So, yeah, definitely a warm front right there around Fred's place. And on the back side, we've got the cold side of that front, so probably a Alberta Clipper coming south. So we would expect to see that continuing to push southeastward into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa there overnight into tomorrow morning. Okay, let's check out a few other of the charts here. There's the familiar thickness chart. It does look like maybe we do have something going on out west. So it looks like a cold front there, and maybe a bit of a warm front in northern Wyoming. Having some trouble drawing these fronts. Okay, so there's that front right there, and then we've got the other one coming out of Canada. There's that warm front. And then we've got an offshore system off in the Gulf Stream area. So that's well out of the picture there. And then probably a leading edge maybe extending down into Florida. And some weather there. Very strong upslope flow in Mexico. So a lot of weather there, especially with that upper level low right in that area there. You can see the lower thicknesses, probably some mid-level cold air. That's helping to create an upper level low over the Gulf of California there. Well, one way we could take a closer look at the weather is to look at the mesoscale charts. And these have, I don't think these have loaded. Okay, yeah, that College DuPage site appears to, oh, okay, I'm loading the wrong charts, or I've got the wrong date up here. Okay, we'll break down the Midwest sector. And this should give us a look there at that system up in the Dakotas. There it is right there. And looks like the front is probably all the way in Minnesota right there. Maybe a little further north. So let's see what happens over the next day or two. Pressure falls in southwestern Minnesota. And here comes our system. All the way down to Minnesota, so we should see some snow showers around that area into Wisconsin during the day tomorrow, and that'll work its way. Let's see, which way does it go now? Oh, that's interesting. Instead of pushing southeast, it looks like it gets absorbed into the southern Great Plains system. So let's see what kind of movement we have here. There's what we have about midday. There's the low. And then by evening, looks like we find the low right here in Iowa. So it looks like those two systems there in the plains, they kind of merged together. We saw that one system there in Wyoming on the other chart. So it looks like that comes on out. And on the backside, very strong warm air or cold air advection in that area. So this whole area comes together, and yeah, that should pick up and then start moving eastward at some point. Yeah, there it goes. Finally, tomorrow night into Sunday. So yeah, over the weekend, that's going to affect Wisconsin and Michigan there. I guess we can take a look at the polar orbiter data. We haven't done that in a while. And we can see some of the clouds there on the Texas Gulf Coast. Pretty much overcast out in that area. Fair weather in the Central Plains. And then we can see that other system up there in the Canadian Prairies about to move down. And there's our new system coming into California and Oregon there. So looking at the textures here, you can see that that's a high cloud layer right there. And then down below that looks like some lower clouds. You can see even a little bit of shadowing there on the cloud edge right out there in the Pacific. And then for California, looks like some smoke out there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's smoke. Let me bring up the opacity. We'll use the aerosol optical depth there to bring that up. And let's see what product we want to go with. I guess we'll give that one a try. Of course, obscuration by the cloud is creating some problems, but it looks like underneath around the Fresno, Bakersfield area, getting a little bit of that smoke showing up there. Okay, then we'll take a look at the upper air charts. We'll take a look at 850. So we're dominated by large-scale low pressure in Ontario there. Looks like maybe a low centered out there around the Lake Huron area. And there's that westerly flow just to the south of that. High pressure there in Texas. So this is kind of reflecting what we have at the surface. And then we can go all the way up to the upper level patterns. There's the jet stream pattern. Definitely got a long wave out to the west or to the east. Very strong trough coming through this ridge here. This is superimposed on this large scale ridge that covers this entire area right there. That's a long wave ridge. So moving through that flow, we've got that trough coming through. So that's moving onshore. And then there's that other trough there in northwest Mexico. So this is all polar front jet action, and then this down here, this is the subtropical jet. And they couple together right there over Virginia and North Carolina with 165 knots reported there around Roanoke. Okay, so it's a pretty cut and dry day. I'll give you the satellite imagery, and you can check that out. And let me take a look at the chat. I've got to reload here. I'm not too sure how many people we have on. Okay, there we go. Yeah, showing 13. Carl Berghoff has joined us, and David Moore. A treat watching tonight on the PC instead of the phone. Very good. Yeah, I'm not too set up to do the cameras yet. I'm going to have to probably do that maybe over the Christmas break here. David Moore and Electric Dog with us. And Ron Chalfant. Mr. Manlett and David Moore. And Fun with Tech, Bro H, just reading the messages here. Carl Berghoff up in northern Wisconsin. Megan John reporting light snow and 23 degrees in Minnesota. And good luck with those finals. Hopefully that came out good for you. Carl Berghoff reporting 9 degrees out there, waiting for another Alberta Clipper. And, yeah, I think, Mr. Manlett, when you're discussing that link, you might want to just send me an email about that. That might be easier to negotiate. I could probably show you an email how to type that up. Or follow Carl's advice there. Yeah, certainly. Okay, Jeff Krob joining from work. And Mr. Manlett got a link there. Okay, yeah, let me see if I can type that in. Just give me a second here. Yeah, just for future charts, when there's this many spaces, I'm not going to be able to do this during the webcast. It kind of takes a while to type in. So next time, it really only takes maybe just a few spaces in the URL, and you can try that, and it should be able to let you through. It's mostly just scanning for likeandunbroken.com. Okay, I'm seeing if it'll come up now. And I think that, yeah, that's working right there. Okay, that's the link right there. And yeah, you got that frontal system right there over southwestern Minnesota up into the Dakotas, so that looks good there, showing the westerly flow across the plains. And looks like that catches that low right there in South Dakota there. So yeah, good job there. Let's see here. The rest of the chat. David Moore reporting a little bit of buffering there. Very heavy buffering. Nice dig in the subtropical jet. Okay. Very good. So let's head into the forecast and see what's coming up. We're looking for some winter weather on the Christmas break in parts of the southern U.S., especially around Texas. I think you may have been seeing some of that buffering there from that satellite loop. That tends to be pretty heavy there on the codex. Okay, so starting out, here's that old... We can talk about this in terms of air masses. This is that old stagnating cold air mass across the southern U.S. We've got a new cold air mass coming in the Pacific Northwest. There it is right there. That's signified by that troughing there in the thickness pattern. And there's probably a more shallow air mass coming out of Canada. We know that based on the surface analysis. And then there's some other shallower air masses up there in the Great Lakes area. So let's see what happens. Pacific system, there's the cold front right there. And then we see a very strong gradient developing in Nevada tomorrow. This is around midday. So this is the next system coming southward. Cold air advection in this area right there. The Gulf is starting to become open in Texas. A little bit of southeasterly flow onto the coast there as this high recedes. Because you can see earlier, the Gulf is not open. This is the current chart. And then for tomorrow, then the Gulf opens up. We get a few of these lines coming onto the coast there. So that should progressively open up a little bit more as this system approaches. So here comes that weather through Nevada. Things starting to become stormy out west. And we see the development of some showers in Texas for tomorrow evening. Spreading across East Texas there for tomorrow afternoon. And the cold air is starting to come. It looks like it's starting to get into Arizona. Yeah, it's pretty much feeding southward. So I think there's some mid-level cold air also moving southeast with the system here. And then it starts beginning the trek across the Rockies on Monday. The Gulf, meanwhile, remains open in Texas. And then, let's see here. I can see a little bit of troughing there in Texas. This is a little bit of cold air coming out of the Rockies, but not much going on at the surface. All I see is a little bit of troughing there along the Texas coast. So it looks like this system is coming out of the Rockies pretty weak. Up to the north, there's a warm front right there. And that connects up to the next Pacific system. So this is actually kind of a stationary front. It's kind of part of this Alberta Clipper here. And let's see what happens Wednesday into Thursday. Yeah, it really comes together there in Montana, down into the Dakotas. So things becoming unsettled once again. And yeah, this really comes southward on the 21st. And then a big Arctic plunge southward on the 22nd into Texas. So here we have the Arctic air mass in Colorado and West Texas, and then the Pacific air mass out in this area right there. And the Gulf is open, so that's going to mean clouds and precip where we have the subflow. And there it is, the development of precipitation on the 22nd on Friday. This is still 168 hours out, so that's subject to change, of course, but it looks like, yeah, possibly mixed precip in the DFW area down to the hill country. And GFS keeping that mostly in the DFW area down to just north of Austin. So that starts breaking up as the main wave pushes to the east there, starts affecting the Gulf Coast. And then going into Christmas, this is the picture on Christmas Eve. High pressure here, and then we get another wave affecting Texas. The cold air is still in place, and you can see things are pretty stormy out across the northern Mexico Rockies, and we get another Alberta Clipper coming out from Canada there. So wave number 2 moves across Texas right there on Christmas. This looks to be a little bit more rainy. And here comes another shot of cold air southward. And this one has snow and mixed precip around Memphis and up to the Ohio Valley. There's the high pressure right there. And then we get into the 27th and 28th. Another Alberta Clipper coming through the Great Lakes. More cold air. So it's kind of a cold pattern shaping up here. And then we get to New Year's Day. Almost to New Year's Day. This is New Year's Eve right here, and it looks like another Pacific system shaping up. Let me see if I can draw that a little bit better. There we go. Looks like a little bit of an inverted wave, inverted trough there. So I don't know. I'm probably going to go with something like that. And then that connects back out into the Pacific like that. So anyway, looks busy here coming up over the next couple weeks. Okay, I think that's about all I got for tonight. Just got to find my lead out music. Maybe we'll do the old song here. Let's get that old song rolling here. Here we go. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Ryan looking for flight changes. Adam Davis watching things, and Jeff Krob saying, oh, so close. Okay. I appreciate, oh yeah, also the internet. I had to cancel the internet upgrade here because Windstream did not show up. I gave them another day to show up. They didn't show up, so I canceled the order. I'm going to wait till I have more time to deal with that. I don't want to take a chance on the internet just going down and due to problems like that. So anyway, hope you have a good evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.